For Sunday Playday, we're going to take a look at Marvel Legends X-Men Cyclops. Okay, so two versions of the same action figure. So of course this is going to be the newer variant because of the new Disney Plus X-Men 97 animated series that's coming out this March. Okay, so VHS style, of course differences in packaging, and the more traditional 80s style wherein the figure is exposed. So on the pegs, if there are several of this, back in the day you could literally take a look at which of the action figures that you wish to purchase. Especially you could spot the blemishes on the manufacturing process because of the exposed design versus this one. Before we take a look at the design and articulation points of the individual action figures, let us first compare the accessories that are in packaged. Okay, so for the VHS version, we have fists and one visor manipulating hand. With the X-Men 97, we have an extra head, a beam, and of course the same handsets as these ones. Let's do a 360 view of the new X-Men 97 Cyclops action figure, so cell shaded version. So this is the VHS Cyclops version. Okay, so I already used a Gundam marker to highlight all of the panel lines on the action figure. So I did not mind the cell shading on this variant because I wanted more details, more character. So instead of taking it off, I added more details by painting on the panel lines. So let's do a 360 view of this action figure. These two action figures would stand around the 6.25 inch mark. So as for height comparison, it's just going to be a slight difference with regards to height because of the hair on the head sculpt of these two action figures. But practically they're just the same, just different configurations with regards to, of course, the details. Okay, so let's compare colors on these two action figure. Just colors on the shade of the yellows and the blues. Of course, this does not have any details on it like panel lining or cell shading. So somehow the yellow is going to be a bit more brighter. This has the cell shading and the panel lines, so the yellow is going to be dampened out a little bit. But not counting on the cell shading and the black panel line on the yellow parts of this action figure, this is still going to be a brighter yellow compared to this. Okay, so with regards to the blues, not counting on the cell shading, this is still going to be a brighter or a lighter colored blue action figure compared to this variant wherein it's a little bit more darker. And the thing that also added to the darker tone is going to be the cell shading. So with regards to how you like your action figures, well, I think that even if you add panel lines on this action figure, it's still going to be a brighter action figure in terms of blues and yellows. Okay, this time let's compare head units. This is going to be a mature looking Cyclops figure. This is going to be a younger version of himself. This has character, this is flat effect. And take a look at the colors of the visor. The visor on this X-Men 97 action figure, it's more metallic looking compared to the VHS version wherein it's just plain yellow with cell shading. And of course, why the more mature version? Take a look at the thickness of the hair. So this is a thinner, this is a fuller hair on the head units. Okay, and also the most notable difference is going to be with regards to the opening on the visor. So this is narrower, that is wider. And differences with regards to the face or head cover, the blue sides. So take a look at the variations. So this is going to have an angle on the cheek line. This is just flat straight line. And with regards to the details on the cheeks, you could really note that this has more facial features. Look at the details on the just below the visor compared to this. This is a little bit flatter, even if we have a expression on that face unit. So more detail. This time it's flatter on close inspection. And the last item that we're going to compare, once again we're going to going back towards the hair of these two head scalps. Okay, so that's going to be plainer, less details. This is going to be fuller, more details. I would give a plus point to the X-Men 97 action figure because of the extra head unit that you're going to get in package. So the beam shooting head unit actually is a plus, because you could even just fill up that eye cavity and you're going to have a second Scott Summers or Cyclops head sculpt that you could use with other kit bashed action figures. So for example, you want a constipated Cyclops, so you've got that head unit, and the one who's holding on to his fart, you've got that head unit. So that's the only plus thing with regards to X-Men 97. Okay, with regards to the shade, metallics shade on the visors of these head units, actually they are the same the same shade, I mean. And take a look also at the hair of these two action figures. Those are just the same too. Using the X-Men 97 beam shooting head unit, so I mounted it to the cell shaded VHS variant. Okay, so this is the 360 view action pose of the figure with that head unit. This time we did a head swap, putting the cell shaded Cyclops head on the X-Men 97 and the X-Men 97 on the cell shaded body. Okay, so let's see whether it's going to look good on each of the action figure. So aesthetic chemical reaction, let's see. So let's do a 360 view of these two action figures. Narrow visor, a wider visor, a much more wider visor. Okay, so what I did was just very simple actually. So this is the beam that is supposed to go on the head unit this way, and we just cut it off with an X-Acto knife. Okay, but if you're going to do so, you have to be very careful. Okay, so this is how the new head sculpt now looks. Okay, so let's use this with one of the action figure bodies. So we're going to use, of course, the Cyclops body with more details. It's going to be the VHS one. Okay, and we have that X-Men 97 head unit, which I just took off the extra material and made use of this as visor filling material. Okay, so this is how it looks on a Bruce Lee Way of the Dragon pose. Okay guys, don't be confused. That is going to be the VHS one. This is going to be the X-Men 97, just sporting the VHS head unit. Okay, so as for articulation points, just the same. So great butterfly joints, which allow flexing of the arms to the front and to the back. And actually you could also take this off and take off extra material, which is going to improve further articulation points. So details, of course, this is the thing that we also want with these versions. It's because we could do an ab crunch without really folding the shoulder pieces or the strap. We're in the previous version of this variant had a separate piece on. This is a semi-molded thing wherein the material was just cut off and glued to this side of the body and that side of the body, so it could produce that kind of effect, and even on the back. Articulation points the same on the waistline and on the abdomen. Head articulates well even with a different head unit. Ball and hinge system. Pinless articulation points on the elbows. Pinless articulation points on the knee. Rotation on the boots, and we have a hinge and swivel for the foot. Same thing with the hands, rotation, and we have that hinge, and of course different handsets per unit. So articulation points really good on these two action figures. So if you have one and you're still looking for the other, well, that's good to go. It's going to be a personal preference for the action figure collector, but with regards to nitpicking which is the best between these two, I cannot say really, because each has plus points. The 97 variant would have a extra head unit to do that. The VHS variant has the cell shading, and you add a little bit of panel lining. It's going to really beautify the action figure. It's going to bring out a lot of details. Well, of course, if you do panel lining on these two, it's going to beautify the action figure, but the cell shading really adds that additional flavor to the action figure build. So it's just going to be personal preference with regards to these two guys. But if you have one and you're after the other, that's good to go. If you already have this guy on hand but not the VHS, then you're still good to go. You're still lucky, because actually it's really hard to find at local stores. But if you order it at Amazon, well, it's going to be readily available, but also depends on availability. Of course, a lot of us are going to look for the X-Men 97 variant just to add to our collection. So that's it. I hope this video helps in your purchase decision, or just curious about the differences between these two variants. So I really studied and showed the variations. So if you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe to help me grow my channel. And see you on the next action figure or custom action figure review.